Hey everyone, it's Sam Carey from the new EdTech Classroom, and this is the ultimate guide to Google Jamboard. In this video, I'll show you all the nuts and bolts of how to use Jamboard, show you all the latest Jamboard updates, show you how to create Jamboard templates and assignments, and even show you how to do things like use a stylus to draw on your board. In addition to nuts and bolts, I know you also need practical ideas for how to use Jamboard in your classroom. So for this video, I've teamed up with a special guest to show us exactly that.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Miller from Ditch That Textbook. I am super excited to be here. And in this video, I'm going to show you all kinds of different ways you can use Jamboard with your students. Whether you're looking for a digital whiteboard tool, looking to create interactive drag and drop assignments, small group work, digital interactive notebooks, and more.
So be sure to stick around to learn everything you need to know about how to teach with Google Jamboard. Matt, I recently started a Twitter storm for claiming that Google Jamboard will eventually overtake Google Slides as the preferred teaching tool because it's an interactive, collaborative platform, whereas Slides is more based on teachers delivering information to students. I still love Slides and still use them. I'm just excited about what's in store for Jamboard. I know you agree that it's a powerful teaching tool. Why do you like it so much?
Google Jamboard is special because it's a blank slate. Just like a teacher's whiteboard in their classroom is a blank slate. But Jamboard is like a digital whiteboard with cool superpowers your traditional whiteboard just doesn't have. You can add images and even animated GIF images. You can annotate on custom backgrounds. You can collaborate. It's great for interactive, hands-on digital learning. Makes student thinking visible. Whole class shareouts at the beginning or end of class. And best of all, is 100% free to use. I like it so much that I even decided to create an online course just about Google Jamboard. So if you like the tips I share in this video, be sure to go check that out.
You can find more information about Matt's course in the video description below. And you can also show your support for the work I do on this channel by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with other teachers that you know. By the way, be sure to let us know your thoughts about Google Jamboard versus Google Slides in the comments. And be sure to ask if you have any questions about Jamboard in general. All right, let's jump in now and start off by looking at all the ins and outs of how Google Jamboard works. First, you'll want to go to jamboard.google.com, which takes you to the Google Jamboard homepage. There, you'll be able to see all the jams you've created. And to make a new one, click the orange Add button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Jamboard's basic setup does have some similarity to Google Slides. In Google Slides, you can add different slides to build out your deck. In a single jam, each slide is called a frame, and you can currently create 20 frames per jam. On top of the jam, you can see which frame you are currently on, as well as how many total frames you've created. And to add a new frame, you just need to hit the next frame icon. Clicking Expand Frame Bar allows you to see multiple frames at once, and similar to Google Slides, you can easily drag and drop frames to change their order. Clicking on a frame and then clicking on the three dots allows you to duplicate a frame if you want to create an exact copy, or you can delete it. And another way to add new frames is by clicking on the Add button to the left or right of a frame. On the top left-hand side, you'll be able to give your jam a name, and then directly beneath, you'll see a Redo button and an Undo button if you need to recover your work. Next to Redo and Undo, you'll find the Zoom tool, which allows you to zoom in and out of a frame and can be useful if you need to quickly zoom in to show more detail or zoom out to show the bigger picture. Then to the right of the Zoom tool, you'll see you have an option to set the background. Jamboard has some preset backgrounds to choose from, such as a dots background, blue line background, blue graph background, gray graph background, blue board background, or blackboard background. One of the newer and most useful feature updates is the ability to add an image as a Jamboard background. Here you'll have the option to bring images in by uploading them from your computer, by adding an image URL, using your webcam to take a picture, searching for images on Google, accessing your Drive folder, or pulling in images from your Google Photos. Here you can see what it looks like when I bring in an image as the background. The possibilities for how you can use images as interactive Jamboard backgrounds are pretty much endless, and we'll be talking more about that in the How to Add Jamboard Templates chapter.
Sam, you're right about bringing in images as backgrounds. I absolutely love that feature. You're not limited to just static images. You can also bring in animated GIFs as Jamboard backgrounds to help make learning more visual and memorable. You can do that the same way as adding an image. You just have to make sure that the file you upload is a GIF file and not a video file or an image file, because that's the only way that it'll work. Here's my favorite way to make an animated GIF background image. If you have the PowerPoint software, the desktop app and not the online app, just open a new PowerPoint presentation. Design your background on a slide and then add any animated GIFs that you want to it. And when you're done, just go to Save As and choose Animated GIF as your file type. It'll save it all as an animated GIF image. Check out these examples. Here's an animated GIF background for a student check-in with some emotions. Here's an either-or question asking whether they prefer to have Iron Man's suit or Black Panther's suit. And then here's another with a KWL chart asking what they know, what they wonder, and what they've learned. Like I mentioned before, what makes Jamboard so special is the ability for you and your students to collaborate and interact in a single jam. That's literally what it was made for. Now, let's look at the tools you can use to do that. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all of your different options for interacting with the board. You can use a digital pen, an eraser, a select tool, a sticky note, images, shapes, text, or a laser. Let's look at how each of these works. With the draw tool, you can sketch anywhere you want on the board. So you can do things like write math problems, handwrite text, and freely scribble notes on the board. Then with the eraser, you can easily erase what you just wrote.
Hey, Matt, I get a bunch of questions from teachers about using the draw tool on a non-touchscreen computer, iPad, or Android tablet, since it can be a little bit challenging to write with a mouse or a trackpad. So I just wanted to let everybody know that you can do things like plug in an external pen tablet, and that lets you write on Jamboard using a stylus. One tablet that's really great is the one by Wacom because it can also be used with Chromebooks. It makes it so much easier to draw on Jamboard, so you might want to check one out.
I know, and I'm going to talk about more options for how to draw on Jamboard with a stylus or your finger later on in this video as well.
Okay, so beneath the eraser, there's a select tool, which you'll need to use if you want to drag and drop other elements you've added to different places on the board. Then you can also add sticky notes. You can change the colors of the notes, type text on the note, and then drag it around wherever you want it to go and resize the note as well. Next is the image tool, which you can use to add images to your jam. When you click image, you'll see that you have the same options I already showed for adding an image as the background. Once you find an image you like, click insert, and that will drop an image on your jam that you can drag and drop wherever you want it to go and rotate to change its position. You can also resize the image by dragging on the corners, and if you click on the three dots, you can duplicate the image to make a copy of it or delete it.
Just like I showed you that you can add animated GIFs to a Jamboard background, you can also add them as files you and your students can drag and drop on the frame. One easy way to do this would be with an extension like Giphy, where you can search for a GIF you're looking for and just simply drag it onto the board. If you have a GIF on your computer, you can also add them to Jamboard by clicking on the image icon, then clicking upload, then choosing the GIF you're looking for. This way, you can do fun things like bring in custom GIFs you create and even animated GIFs of yourself if you really want to make an impression.
Next is one of the newer Jamboard additions, the shape tool, which you can use to bring in different types of shapes like circles, squares, triangles, diamonds, arrows, and more. The shapes tool is one way that you can make quick Jamboard graphic organizers. Check out some of these. Here's a KWL chart, a mind map, and a cause and effect diagram. And in a minute, I'll also show you where you can download pre-created templates, and Matt's going to show you how to create your own templates from scratch. Underneath the Shapes tool is the Text tool, which is also a newer Jamboard feature. With the Text tool, you can add text wherever you want on your jam by clicking and starting to type text. Then you can drag the edges of the text box to resize it, and also drag and drop the text wherever you want it to go on your frame. Up above, you also have some text formatting options to change the size of the text, the color of the text, as well as the text alignment. Lastly, there's also a laser in Jamboard, which allows you to point to specific places on the frame as you are teaching. In addition to making your own graphic organizers in Jamboard with the Shapes tool, many websites also offer templates you can download for free and use as a Jamboard background. For example, Canva has loads of online whiteboard templates that you can download and then upload as a Jamboard background, such as this mind mapping template or this group project brainstorming template. Although the templates on Slides Mania are designed for Google Slides or PowerPoint, they can also work well for Google Jamboard. For example, you can use this notebook template to set up digital interactive notebooks in Jamboard. And I'm actually going to talk more about that later in this video. Julia Dweck makes incredible Jamboard specific templates that you can download for free on her Linktree page. For example, you can download this Art Detectives template where students drag and drop sections of famous paintings in a puzzle game to practice fractions. Or this template where students purchase items to build dream houses for the three little pigs and then calculate the amount of money each house costs to build to practice math skills. Eric Kurtz has a bunch of Jamboard templates on his website as well, including these creative rainbow drawing templates where students can use the eraser tool to scratch and reveal an image below. Esther Park has built off this idea to create her own scratch and reveal Jamboard templates to reveal clues that students use to guess a word, or this Story Elements word work template where students unscramble words by dragging and dropping sticky notes and then adding an image, a definition, and an example for each word. And Matt also has downloadable templates on his website, Ditch That Textbook, such as this top 10 list template or this character notes template. You can find those at ditchthattextbook.com/Jamboard. And a reminder, all the templates that I just showed are all totally free to download.
If you want to make your own template, my favorite way to make your own background for a Jamboard is through Google Slides. Just open up a new slide presentation and design your background the way that you want it. You can add sections for students to drop sticky notes. You can add a big image for labeling or circling. You can even add a passage of text for students to annotate. Go to File, Download As, PNG Image to save that slide as an image. You can then add that image as a background, just like Sam showed us.
Now that we've learned all the ins and outs of Google Jamboard, let's look at some of the different ways you can share a jam with students. First, you might want to share a jam with your class and allow every single student in your class to contribute to the same board. This has the advantage of allowing your entire class to share ideas and collaborate on an interactive board. However, the disadvantage is that it's harder to manage, and there are more opportunities for students to delete each other's work or otherwise fool around on the board. If you do want to go this route, though, one way of sharing the jam so everyone has access to it is by sharing it through Google Classroom. Here, you'll want to open a new assignment in Google Classroom, go to Add, select Google Drive, and find the jam you want to assign. Then, just like a Google Doc or Google Slides, you can set the share settings to view only, to edit, or to make a copy for each student. If you want all students to be able to edit the jam at the same time, choose Students Can Edit. Another way to share your jam with the entire class is by clicking the blue Share button, changing the setting from Restricted to anyone with the link, and then choosing Editor from the drop-down menu. Now, when you copy the link and paste it somewhere else, like another learning management system or a Zoom chat, anyone who clicks on that link can get in and edit the jam. One issue with this method is that anyone who clicks on the link will join the jam anonymously and will show up as an anonymous animal, making it even harder to see who is contributing what to the jam. If you want students' initials to show up on their icons when they enter the Jamboard rather than animal names, you'll need to click on the blue Share button again, change the share settings back to Restricted, and then click to add your students' specific email addresses. Rather than entering them one by one, you can create a class list in Google Contacts and then just type your class's name for all students' emails to show up. I have a separate video showing you how to do this if you're interested. Then make sure the share permission is still set to Editor and click Send. Students will now receive an email inviting them to your jam, and you can also copy the link and share it directly with students. And this time, since you've added them directly, Their initials will now show up when they enter your jam. Next, you might want to share a jam with just a small group of students, not necessarily the whole class. The process for doing this is mostly the same as what I just showed you, except if you assign it through Google Classroom, you would only select the names of the students in that group when creating the assignment. And if you're just planning to copy and paste the direct link, you'd either need to share the unrestricted link only to certain members of a group, or you would change the jam to restricted and add only the email addresses for each group member.
Lastly, another option would be to assign jams to individual students. If you're going through Google Classroom, repeat the same steps Sam showed you, but change the share setting on the drop-down menu to say, make a copy for each student. And if you aren't planning to share your jam through Google Classroom, you can also repeat the steps Sam showed you for how to click the blue share button to copy and paste the link. But this time, before you actually share the link with students, edit the back end of that link so that rather than edit, it says copy. When students click on that link, it will immediately prompt them to make a copy of the document. And then they'll have their own individual version. Note that if you go this route, students will need to share the copy of the jam that was made back to you if you want to be able to access it.
Okay, Matt and I just covered pretty much everything you'd need to know about how to use Google Jamboard. And now we're going to show you some of our favorite strategies for how to actually teach with Jamboard in the classroom.
One of my favorite ways to use Jamboard is as a teacher whiteboard. As a teacher, I always loved using a whiteboard to help visualize concepts for students. I would use a whiteboard and write notes and highlight key information, but I also sketched drawings to help students see in their minds what I was teaching. Using Jamboard as a digital teacher whiteboard will, of course, allow you to do all of the things you can do with a physical whiteboard. Add text, highlight key information, sketch out ideas. But it takes whiteboarding to the next level because you can do things like save your whiteboard notes for students to access later, or make your teacher whiteboard interactive. Drawing on Jamboard does work best if you have a stylus to write on a touchscreen. Sam mentioned the pen tablet earlier, which will definitely work, as will using a touchscreen laptop. Another option would be to use the app version of Jamboard on a tablet. Then project your tablet screen so students can see it, and then you can sketch out your lesson. Then, once you've done some direct instruction by sketching on the board, you can share your jam with students as a view-only file so they can refer back to it later. Or you could go up to the three-dot menu, choose Save Frame as an image, and then upload what you just sketched as a Jamboard background so that students can add their own text, drawings, sticky notes directly on top of it. Last year, Google also released an integration with Jamboard and Google Meet. So now you can launch a jam directly from a Google Meet as a quick way to launch a teacher whiteboard.
Thanks, Matt. Another way I like to use Google Jamboard is for bell ringers or do nows and exit tickets. These can be done individually, but are also a great option for whole group sharing out. You can set up do now activities where students have to respond to questions with images, such as this one where students would post a picture representing how they are feeling that day. Or you could have students make predictions about what they will be studying based on an image you post, or you could have students post sticky notes on a mind map to show what they already know about a topic. Then at the end of class, you can use Jamboard to have all students quickly share out something they learned in class, or as a closing community building activity, you could set up a shout out board where students post positive shout outs to their peers based on that day's class.
We know that having students use manipulatives is a really effective way to help students make sense of what they're learning, whether it's sticky notes, index cards, blocks, or shapes. Jamboard can help provide a digital version of that experience and even upgrade those types of activities. For example, on this Jamboard template, we have a diagram of an atom. Students can drag electrons into place, fill out the nucleus with protons and neutrons, and even identify which element it is. In this example, students can take an image. This one is the US presidential inauguration, and annotate it. They can drag circles and arrows onto the image to identify different parts. The sky's the limit with these draggable activities. You can even drag images into order or let students choose, like you see on this character emotion jam. Now, to take this to the next level, You could also have students record their screens as they describe their thinking or justify their response. Use a screen recording tool like Screencastify or Loom. Students record their jams as they draw, drag or add items, and the screen recording tool can record their microphone as students talk through the process.
In the How to Create a Jamboard Assignment chapter of this video, I showed you how to assign a jam to a small group of students. So another strategy for using Jamboard is to use it for small group collaboration. Of course, you could have small groups work on any of the drag and drop activities Matt just showed. Here's another drag and drop template that Julia Dweck put together for creating an innovation museum. In this assignment, students make copies of inventions, paste them in the correct decade, and then write an explanation about each invention. This type of assignment would be ideal for a small group to work on. You could also assign a group of students a template for them to work together to brainstorm ideas for what they will need to do to complete a project. Or you could assign a group different articles to read about a topic you are studying, and then post summaries of the sections they read as a way to share the information back with their peers. If you're a science teacher, you could use one of the lab report templates in Canva to have students write a collaborative summary of an experiment that they just did.
Building on what Sam was showing with some of those small group collaboration ideas, the next strategy is to have students show their thinking visibly, whether individually or in small groups. Students can use Jamboard to brainstorm what they're thinking by using images and text. This can be great for group projects where everyone gathers research together and has input on what the final product will look like. Jamboard is also great for sketchnoting or visual note-taking. The blend of images and text is very brain-friendly. That verbal-visual mix leads to long-term memory. That goes for student notes, as well as when teachers draw on a Jamboard whiteboard for everyone. If you or your students aren't great artists, that's fine. The impact of the verbal-visual mix isn't in the quality of the sketches, it's in the ability to express an idea visually. So even stick figures or simple shapes can have an impact.
The last strategy that we're going to show you here is how to use Jamboard for digital interactive notebooks. You could start by going to Slidesmania to download a notebook template and then edit that template as needed in Google Slides. For example, you might create a notebook with prompts that students respond to about their independent reading book. Then you'll want to download the slides as images and upload them to Jamboard as backgrounds. When students open up their individual Jamboard notebooks, they can respond to prompts and complete activities using the drawing tool or the text tool. Then, after students respond, you can easily jump in and add quick feedback by using the sticky note tool, and students can easily show you that they got your feedback and make revisions if necessary. If you wanted to keep giving students new pages with new prompts, even after you've assigned individual copies, you could do that by posting a separate view-only backgrounds images document to Google Classroom, where students would be able to get new prompts to add to their notebooks. I also have a whole separate video just about how to make digital interactive notebooks in Jamboard that you might want to check out. Relative to other popular Google apps like Slides, Docs, and Forms, the web-based version of Jamboard is still relatively new to the scene, and Google continues to release updates on a regular basis that make Jamboard even more functional in the classroom. For example, Google recently announced that you'll soon be able to access a revision history in Jamboard, a much-needed feature. Matt and I agree that Jamboard has an exciting future in education and can help us teach more effectively by making learning visual, hands-on, and interactive. Be sure to ask in the comments if you have any questions about Jamboard or if you want to just share your own ideas about how to use it.
If you're interested in learning more about how to teach with Jamboard, be sure to check out my Jamboard online course called Do More with Google Jamboard. It has video tutorials, even more tips and strategies for teaching with Jamboard, as well as free downloadable templates. Find out how to register in the video description below.
Thank you so much for watching my video to the end. If you found the tips that I shared helpful, please share it with other teachers that you know, hit the like button, and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any of my weekly updates. You can also check out some of the other tutorials I have on my channel by clicking on one of those two videos above. And if you're interested in downloading any of the resources that I've created and show on my videos, please visit my website at www.newedtechclassroom.com. Lastly, if you want to check me out on social media, my Twitter handle, Facebook page, and Pinterest account are all in the description below. Thanks so much and have a great week.